We're back again.
Yep. And this time around, we're going through essentially the entire history of Godzilla films.
Yeah. And everything else in between.
Yeah.
We have essentially Godzilla's like little, like what his evolutionary look here.
Yeah.
That's what he's looked at through the series. You got your 54, and you got your Destroy All Monsters.
Yeah.
Your 90s one, and you got the Final Wars one, which I think is probably the best he's looked in years.
Yeah. Although the newer one thus far looks fairly interesting.
Yeah, it looks pretty good, and a very good addition to the CG age.
Yeah.
Considering that that's what a lot of people are going
Yeah.
going for. But at least the CGI looks a lot more like what he actually looks like.
Yeah.
As opposed to,
The 98 one.
as opposed to this.
Yes.
Which looks good there, but looks horrible in the movie.
Yeah.
Alright, let's get started with the first of all. Well, we'll have to remember, this thing cuts out at 20 minutes. So when it gets to 20, we'll have to be silent for a couple of minutes.
Alright.
The original Godzilla.
Yeah.
And Godzilla King of the Monsters, which a lot of people count as two separate films.
And in a way, I can see it because Godzilla, I've actually caught on one of the classic movie channels, and while the Godzilla King of the Monsters is very dark and serious, at the same time, Godzilla is also more dark, more serious.
Way more. And it's a statement.
Yeah. And they're both very... They're at the same time, Godzilla King of the Monsters is also one of those where the dark and serious tone manages to actually stick with the film, as opposed to, you know, most of the times when you get an Americanization or... Yeah, it would technically be an Americanization of a Japanese film or piece or Japanese thing, you have a tendency to butcher it. But
although Godzilla King of the Monsters, I think Citizen Kane was very popular, so they do it's sort of a flashback. And
yeah,
it's kind of weird. It's not a straight line in King of the Monsters.
Right. Whereas Godzilla is more
it's a straight line. It was actually originally going to be called Godzilla the Sea Beast, and I'm glad they didn't go with that title.
Right, because that one would have not as much impact.
Yeah, but at the time, Godzilla was the biggest fucking monster.
Yeah.
Bigger than King Kong, bigger than the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Yeah.
Just there wasn't anything as big.
Yeah.
There might have been some of the no, none as big, because I was thinking of something. Because it wasn't until Ray Harryhausen started with his films.
Yeah, and even then with the Harryhausen films, they were big, but at the same time, I think overall Godzilla was still larger.
Well, he's 167 feet tall.
Yeah.
Or 400 feet tall in the American version. I'm like, there's no way he's 400 feet tall in the American version.
Yeah. Depending on which version you watch.
He's 400 feet tall in the 90s ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about a little bit of the story. A little bit. I mean, it's a cinema classic.
Yeah. And I mean, Godzilla started out as a representation of a reaction to the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know...
Well, they kind of wanted to do a dramatization of it. They couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So let's make a monster movie and make it a metaphor. And thus, Toho became the Monster Factory.
Yes.
They pumped out 8 movies in 2 years.
That is... highly impressive.
It's kind of highly impressive.
Well, that and to keep up the quality over
the years, yeah. But a lot of people, there is an argument saying that it shouldn't have gone further, this movie, because of Well, and I kind of agree because a lot of the sequels don't make a whole lot of sense. They're good movies. It's just the continuity wise, in terms of the impact. This one had more impact.
Yeah,
of all of them.
you know, I can see where some people would argue against it because of the fact that, you know, you're talking about something that's supposed to be a metaphor and a representation of nuclear war and the usage of nuclear weapons.
And
whereas the sequels seem to drift further and further from that.
He just became an icon and a star in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's remember there are other stars in these movies, but
yeah,
it's all around Godzilla.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's the only recurring one throughout all of the films, obviously, because
I don't know. There probably is a couple. I can't name any right now.
Well, technically, Godzilla's Revenge, but
I don't know.
You kind of get the bit part in that one, but
yeah, that is kind of true.
But either way, he's still the name that's put on the cover. He's the one that most people want to see in all of these movies.
But after this, other monster movies started popping up as well.
Yeah.
But before that, we had Godzilla raids again, otherwise known as Gigantus the Fire Monster.
Yeah, which was the first time you ever see him fight another monster.
Yeah. Anguirus. Whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah. Although this one has the Professor Yamane from the first film in it for like a brief scene.
Yeah.
And they show footage from the first movie.
Yeah.
But this one was highly edited in America. Really, really edited.
Yeah. For the longest time.
Like they added so much footage.
Yeah, I know. I actually have a copy of it somewhere.
And the ending's different too.
Yeah, it's
like the American version ends on a bittersweet and kind of happy ending.
Yeah.
The Japanese version ends on a pretty sad note.
Yeah. But for essentially the first direct sequel to the original, it
feels like a Son of Kong.
Yeah.
It could have been better, but I think due to time constraints.
Yeah.
They were going to shoot more scenes because they actually shipped the suits.
Yeah.
To America, but I guess they decided not to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, because let's see, this movie came out in 1955 in Japan, and then it was released in 1959.
Yeah, in the United States,
and it was kind of backlogged.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a strange time.
Well, that, and it's the only other movie aside from the first one, to my knowledge at least, that was done in black and white.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have color cameras yet. Yeah, but Godzilla is a villain, and Anguirus, well, I think he's just fighting.
Yeah,
it's not really.
The sequel wasn't made for a major reason than,
to make a quick buck, really.
Yeah.
But
we've got something here. Let's throw in another monster and have them beat the crap out of each other.
The characters are pretty interesting. It's more of a drama. More drama.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Gamer versus Baragon, in a sense. Like, it's more focused on the actual humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Godzilla kills Anguirus by, essentially biting his neck.
Yeah.
Makes him bleed.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up trapping him in ice on an island.
Yeah. And that takes care of that one.
Yeah. And then we had one of the biggest things to ever come out. I think this actually, at the time, made the most tickets ever.
Yeah. King Kong vs. Godzilla, one of the best versus movies ever.
Of all time. It's very hokey.
Oh yeah,
but it's awesome at the same time.
It's very hokey, very much a novelty, but at the same time, it's a fun novelty. It's kind of like Freddy versus Jason. You don't watch it to go, oh, I'm coming away with something deep and inspirational. You watch it to go, okay, yeah, there's a versus here. I want to see these guys beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah. But, I think the American version is a little better.
Yeah.
Because, King Kong is a star. King Kong is an American icon.
Yeah.
And plus, King Kong is supposed to be the good guy in this, so it makes sense to add some. I mean, plus they don't take away from anything; they just add scenes.
Yeah.
I think to help fill out the runtime.
Yeah.
And I don't think they edited as much. They may have added, but not taken away.
Right. I know that the first time I ever watched King Kong versus Godzilla, you know, I was a major fan of the Godzilla films at the time, and you know, I still buy into the argument that even though Godzilla was supposed to be the bad guy, he still won because, well, they fell into the water. Yeah, what's Godzilla's natural element?
I think he just knocked him out.
Yeah.
King Kong may have won the fight, but he didn't win the battle.
Right. Won the
There's
battle.
fights, battles, wars.
Yeah.
It's a minor victory.
Yeah.
Plus, it was originally going to be King Kong versus Frankenstein.
Yeah, with the whole Frankenstein conquers the world. And
I'm not entirely sure about the whole. I can't remember the entire mythos, but that's why King Kong has electricity thing.
yeah.
Although it did start a sort of like little weakness for Godzilla's electricity,
Yeah.
which kind of makes sense. He is a water creature.
Yeah. And then I remember in one of the films where he got hit with electricity and became a freaking magnet.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
I love that one.
But Godzilla's a very resilient creature, you know.
Yeah, he's technically only been killed.
He's like an action star. You can knock him down, but it'll get back up.
Yeah, he's only been killed maybe, what, 3 times?
Let's see. No, twice. He's only been killed officially twice.
Twice.
First one and Godzilla vs. Destroyer.
That's a story.
Or Destroyer in America.
Yeah.
Yeah. He beats him back, and then he ends up in the water. And that leads us, and that, I think, but before that, we have to talk about the two other monster movies that came out.
Yeah.
There was Var and the Unbelievable,
Yeah.
which... then the two big ones was Mothra and Rodan.
Yeah. They had their own single films before being thrown into the Godzilla universe, and
Rodan was a little dark.
yeah,
Little dark.
Rodan was really Rodan was more serious when it first came out. And Mothra, and I'm sorry, it's a giant moth. Yeah, can't really.
Which led into this one.
Yeah.
Mothra versus Godzilla. Or Godzilla versus the Thing in America.
Yeah.
Let me think here for a second. The thing is Godzilla wasn't always a hero. He was not.
Right.
But in this one, he's not really a force of destruction.
Right.
He's just walking around.
He's kind of there. You know, he's just part of nature.
But in this movie, it focuses... I mean, when Godzilla shows up, it is sort of, you know, everyone's focused on him, but before that, we have a other plot dealing with a Mothra egg.
Yeah.
That a guy wanted to exploit it.
Obviously, I mean, you know, we have to. Even back then, they had to establish the whole entire cliche of man is the villain. But
And of course, the villains were fun, though.
oh yeah.
Never a dull moment. It's never dry in Godzilla.
Right.
It's always something.
Yeah, I mean, granted, you know, sometimes with the villains, they're incredibly over the top.
You know, they and the real stars are the monsters, really.
Oh yeah.
And Mothra puts up a good fight.
Yeah.
But it's taken down because she's kind of old.
Yeah, and
Moths don't live that long, actually.
Right.
And then Mothra's offspring come out, and they end up cocooning him in the ocean, and he's defeated.
Yeah.
And then we have an all-out monster brawl with Ghidorah.
Three-eyed monster.
Mm-hmm. And this was edited a little bit too, but edited for good reasons.
Mm.
because the American cut is a little bit better. A little bit, because the way they moved scenes around helps it make more sense. I'm not going to go into that. You'll have to see the movie yourself to see what I'm talking about, or listen to the audio commentary. But let me look at the back here. The Japanese version is 92. It's almost 93 minutes, and the American is 84. But that's just a crunching like an hour, a crunching a 90-minute thing.
Yeah.
Plus, what they took out was like maybe an extended scene with some of the actors and like when they're living together.
Yeah.
Because there's a brother and sister in this.
There was a little bit of extra padding that was thrown into.
Just to make the characters more out there.
Yeah.
I don't.
Them out more.
I've seen both versions. I don't think we miss much. We know they're brother and sister, although with some of these movies you really don't care.
Yeah.
It's like we're here for Rodan, Mothra, and Ghidorah.
Yeah.
And boy, was Ghidorah one of the most famous monsters in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty much become the Godzilla rival, you know? The thing that at some point in a Godzilla film, you expect him to fight, or every so often you expect
it's kind of a rivalry because his name's King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
And Godzilla's the king of the monsters.
Yeah.
But it's an all-out battle in this film.
Yeah, and
it ends with Ghidorah being repulsed, but repelled. But this movie also starts Godzilla in sort of the superhero sense. I mean, and they start giving the monster a little bit more personality.
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay, this isn't the one with the infamous "Hey, I won" dance.
That's the next one.
Oh God, I made the film faint.
I think you got embarrassed. Yeah. 3 titles: Invasion of Astro Monster,
Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, and
just Monster Zero in America.
Yep.
And starred Nick Adams and Akira Takarada. Yeah, the guy from the first film, I think.
Yeah.
At least I think it's Akira Takarada. I can't be sure. So this is why I don't mention the characters. We're gonna get these names wrong.
Right.
This is the only monster movie where it takes place in space.
Yeah.
And
actually goes to a different planet. And
yeah, Gamera copied this idea as well.
Yeah. And
it's fun though. It's a fun little. It's actually I think this also helped inspire Star Trek as well.
Yeah. Godzilla and Rodan beat the crap out of King Ghidorah the first time. And
although
Godzilla does his, touchdown dance.
Yeah, but I think we ought to talk about also the people behind these movies. There's Akira Ifukube, the musician.
Okay.
The composer. And there's Tomoichi Tanaka, the great producer who helped really push these films. Ishiro Honda is a great director. He's a great director. And the granddaddy of special effects, Eiji Tsuburaya.
Yeah.
This is the part where he stopped. He helped supervise, but he didn't really have a lot of hands on. He started doing his own corporation called Tsuburaya Productions, and that's how he got some of the effects and some of the equipment to do some of these special effects, which are really good, really, really amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, people poke fun at King Kong's special effects, but that was pretty groundbreaking for the time.
Yeah. For something that was, primarily stop motion and miniatures, that was fantastic.
Yeah. But he started Tsuburaya Productions, and he started doing Ultraman.
Yeah. Which is, I'll admit, as corny as it is, at the same time, the effects are really awesome.
Yeah, although the monster suits look like that for a reason, because they had to pump out an episode every week.
Yeah.
But some of the monsters were interesting. Although you could see the zippers on some.
Nobody's perfect.
But that's why they did the spikes on Godzilla's back to hide the zipper and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going on to 20 minutes here.